everyone, it's that time. Thank you so much for joining myself and Tony today. Really appreciate having you here with us. I am Bre Fernie, and I am part of the team here at Clearly. I'm super pumped about our training session today on virtual faxing. I am often asked by customers, what exactly is virtual fax and how does it work? So today's presentation is going to be in the format of a what, why, how, with a live demo and a Q&A session to help you all better understand the benefits, the features, the history, and commonly asked questions around eFax or virtual fax. Tony's joining me in the live demo and Q&A session today. Tony, how are you doing this fine day?
I'm doing really good, Bre. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, let's get started. So what we're going to do is cover the what, why, how, and we've broken it down into those three sections. First, what is faxing and why is it still being used today? So many businesses still rely heavily on fax communications, especially certain industries like medical, legal, and financial sectors. Secondly, why should you bother switching from a physical fax machine in your office? It's tried, tested, reliable, and works. So we're going to describe for you the benefits that will really motivate you to make that transition. And lastly, third, how does it work? What is the difference between e-faxing and virtual faxing? We'll cover all of this today, and you're going to see how you can actually use our platform as a demonstration of how it works. So let's get diving in here. So faxing, believe it or not, has been around since 1913. Actually, the 1840s. You can see here one of the first fax transmitters located in the New York Herald office, showing a telegraph to the Chicago Times-Herald over 1,000 miles away. So even back then, it was super leading edge technology back in the day and essential for communications. In 1843, the tech that faxing is based on was invented. So that means the fax technology that's being still used today is not much different from 177 years ago. Wow. In 1924, the forerunner of the modern fax machine is invented, and the first transcontinental fax, which was a photo of Calvin Coolidge, was sent from New York to London. And that same year, the first color photo was faxed. In the 1930s, Finch facsimile system was used to transmit a radio newspaper to private homes via commercial AM radio stations. And in the 1940s, radio fax receivers were sufficiently miniaturized to be fitted beneath the dashboard of Western Union's telecar telegram delivery vehicles. I just think that's so cool. And then in the 1960s, the United States Army transmitted the first photograph via satellite facsimile to Puerto Rico from the Deal test site using the Courier satellite. So radio fax is still in limited use today for transmitting weather charts and even information to ships at sea. And then in 1964, the Xerox Corporation introduced and patented what many consider to be the first commercialized version of the modern fax machine under the name LDX. By the late 1970s, many companies around the world, especially Japanese firms, had entered the fax market. And in 1985, a man and founder of Gamma Link named Hank Magnuski produced the first computer fax board called Gamma Fax. Such boards could provide voice telephony via analog expansion bus. So that gives you a picture of the history of fax, which is quite grandiose. So in legal and financial documents that require a signature, there are terms called a wet signature and a dry signature. A wet signature is the original signature, so called because it was once, albeit briefly, wet from the ink on the document. And a dry signature is a copy or a faxed version of a wet signature. So, do dry and wet signatures carry the same legal weight today? The answer is usually yes, but the law can still vary per country or in the US from state to state. Typically, lenders, medical, and legal offices are impacted the most. And the other reason people are reluctant to change, again, if it works and I'm doing it this way for a long time, is it really worth the hassle to change? Well, in this presentation today, and sorry, but in most cases, the answer is most definitely yes. So as important and vital fax communications are still so imperative today, why would you want to limit your operations of standing in your office at a physical fax machine every time you need to send a fax or you're waiting for one to come through? This is where e-faxing or virtual faxing really comes to market. It enables ease of sending and receive support by several supported devices. You can send a fax from your car with your mobile device or from your laptop, your tablet, or really any device, anywhere, anytime with this modern technology. So one of the most important ROI factors, what kind of return on investment to switching to electronic hold? I actually spoke with a longtime customer yesterday in the medical industry, and this was just only one of the driving factors that he reached out to me, is he's paying $100 a month for an analog line and supporting all this hardware in his office that has accumulated overhead. So just those items alone were motivation enough, but some other items, of course, is, replacing a physical fax machine and the costs connected with that, maintenance. If you've got one of those heavy duty fax copier scanner machines, you know that if it breaks, it has to be fixed or replaced. So maintenance is expensive on those equipment. Cost for a dedicated phone line. Don't forget long distance charges. If you're faxing long distance over that dedicated phone line, you're going to incur long distance fees, and it really can be a bottleneck. You can only send or receive typically one fax at a time. If an additional fax is being sent to the same recipient, you get a busy signal. A redundancy, that's really important here. It's one more specialized item to buy toner for. And electronic faxing reduces energy use, and you can only print the documents you need. So it's much more ecological. And let's talk time and efficiency. So there will always be that bottleneck when waiting to send multiple faxes to multiple recipients. Paper jams happen. They don't need to. Individually, each of these reasons make sense. When you put two or three together, then the choice is pretty clear to really consider the transition. So let's not forget, if you have a physical machine that uses energy even when it's in standby, it can be a furnace in the summertime, costing more to cool the room down. I know this was the case in our office here in Vancouver. And, the other examples are that it just modernizes all your processes and your workflow. It's going to create more efficiencies with your team, improve your communications, and also increase response time and sending time. So the examples I'm going to give today are based on our ClearlyIP fax platform, which we call SendFax.to. There are other e-faxing services out there, but we're going to use our SendFax.to to illustrate the basic principles. So some of the benefits of e-faxing, other than removing that old fax machine, it really makes sending and receiving faxes easy. Inbound fax to email, you can define up to 2 email addresses that will be sent the inbound fax on a per DID basis. Outbound email to fax allows you to send an email to a fax line, take outbound emails, send to the number at SendFax.to in the to address, and convert to a fax and send to the phone number of the party. Another benefit is rebrandable email alerts. And even with our SendFax.to new domain for resellers with our platform, there is no eFax portal. It relies 100% on email for faxing. Fax CDRs showing all sent and received faxes in the actual store, and the ability to set a password that all fax PDFs are encrypted at a per group level. So if you're thinking to yourself, this sounds complicated, I promise it isn't. Actually, sending a physical fax is more challenging than electronic faxing. So let's start with inbound faxing. Fax to email. The SendFax.to online portal, it easily configures inbound email delivery from any fax-enabled T.38 numbers available in most North American regions. And inbound faxes can be delivered to up to 2 email addresses. So, for example, you could send to your receptionist or a specific department person to manage and distribute your inbound faxes. So that's going to improve that workflow and certainly reduce time. So for outbound faxing, you can enable and manage specific email addresses or domains to send faxes using our SendFax.to service. So each fax-capable DID phone number on your account can be associated with up to 100 authorized email addresses or email domains. Email addresses can be authorized to send for multiple fax DIDs numbers. When sending a fax by email, users can easily specify which fax number to use as the sending address. Suppose users are authorized to use multiple fax numbers. In that case, our system will allow them to choose which number to send from immediately with a follow-up email, enabling them to select the proper account. So, how do you add a cover page? So there's 2 ways you can do this with our platform. You can simply place the cover sheet in the body of the email, or you can attach a document called cover page. What about confirmations? I get asked about this a lot. Don't worry, that's taken care of as well. Once your message has been sent, you will receive a confirmation email to confirm that your transmission has been sent. If you have multiple numbers associated with your fax at your company, you will be prompted to select one for a confirmation to be sent to. So that way you can properly organize where those fax confirmations are coming to. And because this is email-based, it can be customized through an API. Our ClearlyFax service offers an API which allows you to send faxes and receive information about a particular fax. You may also receive inbound fax information via the use of the callback URL, which can be configured by contacting our customer care department. So ClearlyIP offers partners and customers both the API solution so that you can be notified via web callback on inbound and outbound faxes. So now that you can use your multi-function printers to send and receive faxes as well, using this platform, however, reducing the cost or the need for that traditional phone line. If it has an internet connection, then you can fax to and from it. So customers that are still wanting to hang on to that physical machine, you really can enjoy the best of both worlds. So we offer our fax platform in 2 plans, our light and high volume. Different fax providers structure contracts and pricing differently. I love how we've done ours because there's no contract plan, it's month to month. We offer large discounts if people have much higher, larger volume requirements. Our low volume is just an amazing low price of $9.99 USD MSRP per month, and that includes about 400 to 450 pages of faxing per month, around 300 minutes. There is a per minute charge of 0.025 per minute after the 300 minutes are used. And then our high volume is going to include around 3,000 to 3,500 pages a month of faxing, around 2,000 minutes at $24.99 USD MSRP per month. So it really is not increase in overhead or increase in cost, because majority of the time our customers are removing and reducing those physical line costs and hardware expenses in connection with fax when they move to this, and really seeing overnight savings. We offer phone numbers for fax. If you need a new DID, we offer new phone numbers at $1 MSRP per month. That's US pricing, of course, per phone number for USA or Canada. And for free, no cost, we support inbound and outbound email groups. And again, no contracts, everything's month to month. And if you have an enterprise opportunity, or your requirements are over that 2,000 minutes or 3,500 pages per month, let us know. We can put together something special for you guys. So I'm going to hand things over to Tony now. He's going to take over on the live demo and show you how to use virtual and eFax through our SendFax.to platform.
Hey, Bre, thank you. Let me get my screen share set up here. So I'm going to talk briefly just how do we enable faxing on our service, and then how to use it. So we have a trunking portal store that our customers that use us for voice are already familiar with. And in this portal, you have what we call locations, which are usually unique phone systems that you're using us for trunking. And once you have a location created, you can add service to it. So I have a location here called Webinar Test. And in this location, I happen to have voice service on it. You don't have to have voice service if you want just faxing with us. We'll do just faxing with you. But this one happens to have voice service with 2-call passive voice service enabled on it. And over in the fax section, I don't have any faxing set up. So I come in here and I first have to add a faxing plan to this location. I'll hit the edit button and change the plan or quantity, and I can pick between low and high volume. So the two different plans we offer, low volume being 300 minutes a month or about 450 pages, and high volume being 2,000 minutes a month or about 3,500 pages. So we'll pick what we want and how many, and you can stack these. So if you're a high volume user and you're going to use 4, 6, 8,000 minutes, you could buy high volume and you can just stack them together. So you could buy 4 of these. So I'll go ahead and buy one. I'm going to buy 1 low volume for our testing and go through. Normally you would have a checkout process here. My account's set up as free, so there's no charge for it, but this is where you just complete the checkout, agree to the terms of service, and it's going to now go activate faxing on that location. So I've got a fax plan now on this location. And now if we scroll down further, we can see the phone numbers we have with this location. And I already have one of them set up for faxing. But you can take any phone number you have and make it be a fax number instead of a voice number. If you want to buy a new number, you can hit add new numbers and just buy the number. If you want to port the number, you can go through our porting process and submit a porting request, and we can port that number over too. So once you have your number, we simply set up routing by hitting the little binoculars here. And right now it's routing calls. It's routing to this location. And instead of routing it to this location for voice, we just want to route it to the fax server. And then we'll pick from an inbound group we've created already and 1 or more outbound groups that we've created. And I'll show you how you create those in a second. And you hit save and you're done. This phone number now has been moved to a fax number, and it's been linked with an inbound email group and 1 or more outbound email groups. So I'm not going to do it on this DID since I have a phone number already set up for that, which is this number here. It's set up for fax server. And then down here, this is where you manage your inbound and outbound email groups for faxing. So I have some created already. We'll go look at one of them. And you give it a name and a description. So we could call this inbound webinar if we wanted. And a description, testing for webinar. And then we get some options. We can say we want to attach when an inbound fax comes to this group. Remember, we pointed that phone number to this group. We want to attach it as a PDF to the email we send out, or we want to attach a link that lets them download the PDF. So you can say don't attach it to save time, to save email space, so you're not getting all these attachments. And instead, in the body of the email, you'll get a link and you can download the email or download the fax. or you can do both. We can also encrypt that PDF. So to be HIPAA compliant in the US, or just for customers who want to be more security conscious, we can say enable encryption and set a password. And now it will encrypt that PDF with that password, and you have to know the password to view the PDF when it emails it to you, or when you use the link to download it. So full encryption capabilities. And then you can start adding email. So I've got this ClearlySales@gmail that I use for testing. You can add up to 2 different email addresses for an inbound. We limit you to 2 email addresses for inbound, mainly for spam reasons. If we start letting you put 20, 30, 40, 50 emails in here, there's a chance we'll start getting flagged, our main SendFax.to, for spam and getting on the blacklist and spam list. So we limit you to 2. If you need to go into more, set up your own distribution group and have us email your distribution group. That way it's your email server distributing it, and it's not going to get into the spam filters. So you can add 1 or more email addresses, and then you would just save that. And you can add as many inbound groups as you want. And same with outbound. So we'll go look at an outbound group, and we'll give it a name, and then a description if we want, and then the station ID. So this is that little text that's printed at the top of every fax page, or should be generally. In the US, in most countries, it's required to send a station ID. You can set this to be whatever you want. This could be numeric or alpha, and it's allowed to up to 21 characters on a station ID. So technically, I should probably set this to be ClearlyIP Inc. And then you can add up to 100 email addresses or domains that will receive, that can send an outbound email from this group. So if you remember, this group linked to 1 or more phone numbers to be able to send outbound email, outbound faxes from your email. So I have ClearlySales@gmail, and I could add, for example, T. Lewis at ClearlyIP, and now that email could email from here. Or I could be clever and say, I want to add all of ClearlyIP.com. Now anyone at ClearlyIP.com can use this group to send outbound faxes. But if you try to be clever and do something like at Gmail, it's going to say absolutely not. Because it's a common email. It's not your own private domain, or at Yahoo, or any of the ones of thousands of common email domains are not going to let you add just the domain. You can add an email, but you can't add the whole domain. I'm going to go ahead and remove these. And normally you would hit save now, but we didn't make any changes, so there's nothing to save. We'll test. So we'll go ahead and close that. So we've got our inbound outbound groups. We already linked that phone number up here to those inbound outbound groups. So if we go to the binoculars, just to show it one more time, this is where you link to a single inbound group, and you can link up to 100 outbound groups to be able to use this phone number for sending outbound faxes. And then it's as simple as sending an email. So I'm going to go draft an email. So I'm going to do this from my Gmail account. So I'm just going to put in, oh, I got to know what the phone number was. I don't have it memorized. Let's see, what was it right here? So to send an email, it's pretty simple. I'm going to send this from my ClearlyIP account. So it's the phone number, and it can be with or without a 1. So it's the 10-digit or 11-digit phone number at SendFax.to. And then we can put a subject, test fax, test fax. So what's going to happen here is, if I don't include an attachment called cover page, it's going to use this email body here as the cover page for the fax. If I upload an attachment called cover page dot whatever, it will use that as your cover page. And then you can just start adding attachments here. So I don't have any attachments free, but we'll just send this. And we hit send. And it's going to go ahead now and send out that fax. So that's going to get processed through the system. And that phone number is set up for the inbound group to go to that Gmail account, which I've opened over here. So in the next, I don't know, minute or so, 45 seconds, that email should show up here with that fax. And this is what you'll see. This is one I sent just before the webinar. And this is what you'll get for an email. You've got a fax, hi, and then your email address. You've received a fax. We'll see who it's from, so what the phone number is, what their station ID was that they sent from. So their station ID is usually programmed, if it's a fax machine, it's programmed in the fax machine. Where they sent the fax to, so what phone number, the date and time we got the fax, and how long it took to process the whole fax, and how many pages, and if there were any errors. And then down here is an attachment of the actual fax. So if my email address is set up with more than one phone number, what would happen is I would get an automated email back from the system saying, hey, we don't know what phone number you want to send your fax from. Click this button and tell us which number you want to send from. And then we will automatically know which number to send from. Or you can be smart when you draft that email and you can put in your phone number. So that's the number we want to send the fax to at. And then if you put in the actual DID or the phone number that you want to send from, so as long as you have permissions to that number as your email address, then we will know what number you want to use. So or SendFax.to. So we only have to do this phone number here if our email address belongs to multiple numbers that we can send outbound as. And this is just telling the system, I want to send as this number. If we forget to do that and we just do this, it's going to automatically email you back saying, we don't know what number you want to send from. Click this link and pick from your choices and hit the submit button, and then it will submit the fax for you. So there you go. You see that new inbound one we just sent. We can probably simulate this. Actually, let's do this. We're going to go into faxing, and on our outbound group, this one here, we're going to add my Lewis at ClearlyIP.com. Save this. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to send another fax, so test 2. And while we're sending that one, I'll show you, this is what you get as the sender, the person who sent the fax. Hi, Lewis at Clearly. Your fax sent to here has completed the following results. So you get the same confirmation as the person who sent the fax. So both sides, you get the end. When you're receiving the fax, you get it. When you're the sender, you get a nice little confirmation. And if there was a failure or busy, and after the retries on the busy, it still didn't go through, whatever it might be, you'll see that in here with the results. Instead of successfully, it'll say error, and it'll give you what the error was of why it couldn't send the fax. Okay, so at this point, I guess, Bre, we'll open it up for Q&A.
Definitely.
So let me there's a Q&A section here. So we're asking, got asked, is there a fax portal coming soon? We don't have plans for one. When we talk with people all the time, almost nobody uses an eFax portal. The whole logic of logging into something, uploading documents, clicking around in web pages versus just sending from an email is so much more intuitive. We do show you all your faxes. So in the normal CDRs where you would see voice calls, you'll actually see all your fax calls also. So if I go filter to that webinar test, we'll actually see faxing, so domestic faxing. So you'll see all your inbound and outbound faxes through your location here and if it was billed, so if you went beyond your included minutes, it would show what the charge was per fax. And then you asked, what about a fax-enabled device? So yes, we are going to be announcing very soon our own designed and built little fax device. And this device will get linked to an inbound outbound group like you link email. So you'll just add the device inside those groups. And then that device just plugs into your network, and you plug your physical fax machine into it. And you can start sending and receiving right from your fax machine. You can also do things like on an inbound DID, you can say, send it only to the fax machine, or send it to email and that fax machine, or send it just to the fax machine, or just email. And then those little devices that we're manufacturing have 2 ports on them. So you'll actually be able to pick which port you want to send it to. So one phone number could go to one port, another number to another port, or you could say, try the first available port. So it'll just load balance between the 2 ports. So that'll be launching here next month is the launch date for that.
Yes.
We're in beta with it. We've got, I think we're about 18 customers on beta that we went with. A lot of requests for it. So we were limited on how many beta customers, but we've been in beta for a month and a half with it now, in production with customers faxing every day on it.
Receiving really good feedback from what I hear.
Yeah, and there's a lot of neat things. There's a web GUI to the device, so you can actually see all your inbound, outbound faxes from that web GUI of the actual device. And for example, if your fax machine was unplugged when it was plugged into that device, and after the retries, we still couldn't deliver the device. It'll sit for up to 7 days on the device, and you can go push a button to have it resend it to your fax machine right from that little appliance box. So we built a lot of neat things you won't find in other audio codes based solutions. Since we designed the software and the box, we could do things you can't do with other ones. Question here: when sending from one of your multiple fax numbers, all you need is one fax route and multiple fax numbers to route set to fax. Yeah, so you don't need to buy multiple fax call paths for every number. One fax call path could have 50 numbers, or you could have 50 call paths of faxing with one phone number. We don't care. What if the same email account on multiple Clearly trunk accounts? I'm guessing it will kick it back and not allow you to use the email address on a second account. No, it will. You can add any email address you want because it's standalone faxing, and then that person, when they, if I go to send an outbound fax and my email address belongs to multiple phone numbers, and I don't tell it what phone number to use, it's going to kick back that automated email saying, hey, we don't know what number you want to use. Tell us which number you want to use. And that applies across multiple accounts. So if you're a reseller and your customer buys from you and they happen to buy from another reseller who sold them SendFax, so their email address is used on actually 2 different accounts, it won't matter. It's just going to email them and ask them what did they want to use. How much is the port cost, and is there a monthly cost for the number? Yeah, so numbers are MSRP under no contract are $1 a month for the numbers, and then porting, I'm not sure on the cost. We run different specials at different times, but I don't know, $5, $7, something like that, and I don't know the exact cost. I'm sorry. Partner resellers that we purchase at less than MSRP, like anything we sell with our partner base, this has got the same discounts you would with our SIP trunking or any of our cloud products. It's just an add-on to one of our many products. So you get all your normal partner discounts on it.
Tony, I've got a customer asking me, he's got an office with a physical fax machine, a line coming in from TELUS, I believe, at $75 a month plus long distance. So he's asking, he subscribes to the platform and requires this connectivity device and will need to port his numbers over. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry, I didn't follow.
He's just asking what would be the process.
The process is simple. So you would you'd come in, either sales can help you, or you'd come into our self-service portal and you would set up a location. So you create an account and then you come in under products and services, locations, and you add a new location. So you'd pick you want trunking and hit next. And it does want you to have voice service with us, but you don't have to pay. You can just say, for voice service, if you happen to send us voice calls, I'll just pay per minute. So you have no monthly charge. We'll say, give me one call path of pay per minute, even if I'm not going to use your voice, on a month-to-month plan, and go through the checkout process. That will automatically add a location. Then we just go into the location like we talked about earlier. So product services locations, and we find whatever that location is. I happen to have a whole bunch of them here. Sorry about that. Normally you'd only have one. And in that location, you just then go enable your fax service and buy your lower high volume. And then under porting, submit a porting request and fill out this form with all the information. This is what's called an LOA, or letter of authorization for porting, and submit it, and we will kick everything off and get everything set up for you.
And just to make note, you're going to want to wait till that number gets ported before you call TELUS and disconnect your services.
Yes. Yes. So the fax device stuff, as we talked about, we only brought it up because it was asked in the Q&A, but it's not launched yet. It's in beta with a bunch of customers. It gets launched next month. There'll be emails going out about it. There's a one-time fee to buy the device, and then there's no extra fee besides your call paths that you buy from us. There's no per-month fee to use the service besides just call paths. So whether you use email or the device, we don't care. A combination of the two. You might have inbound go to email, but you want to use the device for outbound, and you want to use email for outbound. We don't care. You can mix match all that. All you're going to do is what today we call. I'm trying to bring it up. What today is listed as a for example, outbound email group. This will actually just be renamed outbound fax groups. And when you edit or add an outbound fax group, right now you add emails, there'll be a new option here of what device and port on that device do you want to do outbound for. and then it will link it to this group, which is linked to a phone number for sending outbound faxes, and then same for inbound. So you'll just add the device like you add an email, except for you'll get a drop down of all the devices you've purchased from us. Okay, well, I think that's it for questions, Bre.
Perfect. Thanks, Tony.
No problem.
I really hope that everyone found this insightful and learned a little bit about the history of fax, and that
Bre, I had one other thing.
Sure.
I was going to show. So this is my email address where I'm set up with multiple DIDs for my email address, multiple numbers. So I didn't tell it what number to use. So it sent me this automated email saying, hey, we can't send your fax yet. You sent an email to the phone number at SendFax with the subject test 3, but we don't know where to send it from. Click this link. So you click this link and it will show you all your numbers. And these numbers, one of them belongs to one account and another one belongs to another account. So this is showing that, even for myself, even if I have my email address on multiple accounts, I can still send from any of them. It's all based off my email. So it shows me what the 2 numbers are that I have and what the description is I set up, and I just pick which one I want to send as and hit send it, and we're done. Now it's going to go ahead and send that outbound fax from that phone number. And then it actually tells you, hey, in the future, by the way, if you did your phone number in that caller ID you want to use, the phone number, the DID you want to use at .SendFax.to, you wouldn't get this email. It would just send it automatically. So we do it as a nice little friendly reminder.
It's super helpful for being more organized with your faxing. That's for sure.
Yes.
You never got that with a physical fax.
No.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We sure appreciate having you join us today. As Tony mentioned, if you want any more information or you want another one-on-one demo, feel free to reach out to our sales department. They're always really happy and keen to assist you with the process and help you determine what cost savings might be in line for you, and even automate your workflow processes. In the spirit of product launches, I want to mention that next week, next Thursday, you can join Tony and I for another product launch that's ahead of the fax appliance, and it's on our Clearly Cloud platform. So that is on our events page at clearlyip.com/events, and you can register for that webinar, and we will be sending an email out on that on Tuesday. Otherwise, thank you so much, Tony. Appreciate your time today.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and the rest of your week. We look forward to connecting with you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.